What's up, guys? Kyle Mooney. Today we're going to talk about freestyle flying and how you can get better. I get this question a lot. How can I progress? How can I start doing bigger wing overs? How can I start doing barrel rolls? Or I want to do a sat or whatever the case is. So there's many different avenues one could go down. A lot of people, not a lot. One of the questions I get asked all the time is, how can I get better flying? Right? Well, there's many different avenues you can go down. Some people choose to just kind of progress slowly when they're flying on their own and they're doing a wing over. It gets a little deeper here, a little deeper there. Eventually you get the wingtip to the horizon, and then you get the glider just underneath the horizon on a wing over, and then half the glider, all the glider, so on and so forth. It goes on. But doing it like that, yes, it's good. You have to do some of that. You can't have someone there 24/7 to teach you pull brake, pull the inside brake. Okay, it's going outside brake too, inside, so on and so forth. You can't have somebody doing that 24/7. So, best thing you can do is progress to a point to where you're comfortable on a safe wing, right? I don't want somebody learning wing overs on a C wing for their first time ever learning wing overs. Mainly because it's going to do them super easy, and you're not really going to learn true control that you would, say, using the outside brake. So learning it on an A or a B wing first, just the basic maneuvers, the wing overs, the really big wing overs, the foot dragging, things like that. Learning those kind of things, those spirals, learning those on a beginner glider and then moving to a more advanced glider, it's going to keep you safer in the long run. The best way, in my opinion, to learn how to get better, especially with acro type of maneuvers and wing overs and things like that, and to stay safe, is to take an SIV course. These are offered on just paragliding by itself or with a motor. So some people won't do the paragliding one purely because there's not a lot of places around the country. There's some, but if they're in their local area and they have a paramotor one happening, that's their only option because it's money or family or whatever it is, and of course that's understandable. I would rather somebody take any SIV than none at all. So if that's all you can afford or be able to do is just take that motor one, or that's the only option that you have, take it. You're still going to learn a lot, and it might not be as fast of a progression. And the reason being is because with the motor on your back, you have this giant weight on your back that you're having to maneuver with as well. So the way I like to explain it is, when you're free flying, it's a lot easier to get your lines twisted, but it's also a lot easier to get it untwisted. On a motor, it's a lot harder to get it twisted because of the weight pulling it down, but it's a lot harder to get untwisted because you just don't have that flexibility on you. And that's how I feel. I've had twists on both, and free flying, you can just push the risers to spin around, and all of a sudden you're twisted. And on a motor, that's a lot harder to do. It requires a lot more strength, so you can see how much harder it is to actually get into there. But with a motor, you have that pendulum energy that will just constantly keep you getting twisted. So just be careful with that. I would say take an SIV course and learn from it. All right? Don't have this expectation that I'm going to take an SIV, so I'm going to learn barrel rolls, stalls, sats, and whatever else that you think you'll learn in a weekend or 4 days. You're not going to just be a normal pilot hopping into one of these and then coming out going, I can do full stalls all the time and barrel rolls and sats and all this other stuff. Yeah, you might learn a sat. You might learn how to get closer to a barrel roll, but these are just building blocks, just the way that you were probably trained to do these things. So the way that you were trained to do them is in increments, and that's how this works too. This is just getting your feet wet to get you comfortable under that glider and showing you in a safe control environment what this glider can do and how you can manage that. So taking an SIV course has got to be one of the most important things when it comes to being safe and progressing safely, in my opinion. There's no best instructor, right? The best instructor is the one that's best for you. So I've been under instruction of several pilots up until, a while ago, but we all kind of learn off each other. But when I was trained, I had Theo DeBlick train me for, I guess, SIV. I had Javi Malagita, who was the first person in the world to do an infinite on a paramotor. And that was my first taste of learning full stalls and things like that over in Spain. And luckily, I was able to do that. I was able to fly over there, fly in the best acro place on earth, and learn from some of the best. So that helped immensely. And then I didn't do anything for about 2 years. I just kind of kept flying and doing my thing, but I still knew those things, or I had it in my back of my mind. And then after that, I went and trained with Theo DeBlick, where I started with some full stalls because I'd already done them, but it was a couple years ago, and I did 3 of them, and he said, all right, we're going. I'm like, where are we going? We briefed it on the ground that if I did those well, we're going to go straight into the heli and start practicing that and learning that. Okay, sounds good. And then from there, it just kind of incremental steps and learning all these new maneuvers to get a taste for them, and then I could transfer that to paramotor because it was all free flying. So learning these things is just practice that you need to do. There's no magic switch where you're going to take an SIV course and be good at it. It's just not going to happen. So doing these steps is very, very important. For reference, I flew for like the last 4 years, I flew probably 250 days a year or more. I'd say more. And that was for 3 or 4 years straight of flying. And I progressed from before I started that, I was doing sats and barrel rolls already. And after the 4 years, I was finally able to get to the point of doing an infinite. Mind you, that's the last 3 years of practicing an acroglider. You know, everybody's flying, having a good time with everybody. Meanwhile, I'm out by myself going up to 3,000 or 4,000 feet, practicing these maneuvers to get better. So for a time reference, that's how long it'll take. These things don't just come by themselves. It takes dedication, time, and honestly motivation to get up in the morning and just know that I'm going to go grind out 10 runs this morning on my paramotor. So keep those things in mind when you guys are wanting to progress, that it does take time. But if you just want to start learning those wing overs and barrel rolls and things like that, you can do that with an advanced course or an SIV. I prefer an SIV over those things just because it teaches you the stall. And I won't teach the stall to somebody unless we're over water. I won't do it unless it's over water, just for the safety aspect in that regard. So keep that in mind, guys, when you guys are out there trying to get better and learn new things. Talk to the people around you. Call an instructor. Watch YouTube videos. You know, don't go out there trying these maneuvers off of a YouTube video. Guilty at some point when I first started flying. It's a bad idea. Trust me, I've been there, done that. Don't do it. Reach out. See what you can do. Look for that next course. Take the time, because spending 2 months researching now and spending that extra cash to go out and learn the SIV rather than trying it yourself could be the difference between life, death, or life and a $10,000 hospital bill versus the $1,500 it would have cost you to go somewhere and learn. Just keep that in mind when you guys are out there. It's really important to everybody in the community that everyone stays safe and has a good time flying.